Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Welcome in the class. As you know, today we will discuss variables, measuring variables, constructs, and operational definitions. Our discussion is based on a book. Its title is Research Methods for the Behavioral Sciences. Its authors are Frederick J. Gravater and Lori N. B. Forzano. So it is chapter 3, defining and measuring variables. It is section 3.2, constructs and operational definitions. So, first, a few definitions. Theories. The authors define theories. They say in the behavioral sciences, theories are statements about the mechanisms underlying a particular behavior. In the behavioral sciences, theories are statements about the mechanisms underlying a particular behavior. Theories help organize and unify different observations related to the behavior. Whatever behavior we study, theories help organize and unify different observations related to that behavior. Good theories generate predictions about the behavior. So, theories help us in predicting also, forecasting about the future. So, after defining theories, the authors define constructs. What are constructs? Constructs are hypothetical attributes or mechanisms that help explain and predict behavior in a theory. What are the constructs? Constructs are hypothetical attributes which we assume. Constructs are hypothetical attributes or mechanisms that help explain and predict behavior in a theory. So the constructs help us in explaining the behavior in a theory or in predicting the behavior in a theory. Sometimes a research study uses variables that are very clear and easy to understand. In fact, constructs are variables, okay, because they vary. Uh, we will discuss the examples in a while. So, variable means anything which varies, which changes with time. So they are variables. So constructs which we use in social sciences, they also vary. They are also variables. These variables are easy to observe. Which variables? That are very clear and easy to understand. Sometimes we use simple variables. They are easy to observe. They are also easy to measure. So measurement of simple variables is easy. For example, a study about physical development may look at height and weight. Measuring our height and measuring our weight is very simple. You take a scale, you go to gym, or you may have a scale at home. You just step on it and it tells the weight. So you have measured your weight. So it is a simple thing. Similarly, measuring height, it is very simple. You take a measuring tape and you can stand along a besides a wall and you can measure your height. So these measurements are simple measurements. So these are variables. Height is a variable. It changes with time. In our childhood, our height was uh, less. Now we have gained more height, so height changes. Similarly, weight. Sometimes we become uh, fat and we gain weight. So sometimes we lose weight. So weight also changes. So these are variables, but these are very simple variables. Measuring them is simple. Measuring them is easy. Height and weight are real and physical things because they are physical. When we uh, measure our weight, so we weigh our body. It is a physical thing. When we measure our height, so we measure our body. So body is a physical thing. Height and weight are real things. They are physical things. They are tangible. They are tangible. They can be touched. They can be felt, physically felt. They are concrete attributes, material. These are material attributes. This means we can see them directly. Concrete things, tangible things, physical things, they can be directly seen and we can measure them directly. But some studies are different. Some studies involve things we cannot see directly. These are intangible attributes. These are intangible. These are abstract qualities. They are not concrete, they are abstract. Examples include motivation, self esteem. For example, some of you are more motivated, they are more committed to studies. Some may be less motivated, they are not as much motivated, as much committed to the studies. Similarly, some people have high self esteem, some people have low self esteem. So, these are also variables. These variables cannot be seen directly. We can touch our body, but we cannot touch motivation. We cannot touch high esteem or low self esteem. Because of this, measuring them becomes more difficult. So, as we discussed, measuring weight or measuring height is easy. That is simple. But measuring motivation of someone, measuring the self esteem of the people, it is not as easy. It is difficult to measure them. The process of measuring them is more complicated. Theories and constructs. So, when we talk about measuring the variables, theories and constructs help us, and we have to take them into consideration. Scientists and philosophers try to explain behavior. They also try to predict behavior. Scientists and researchers try to explain behavior. They also try to predict behavior. To do this, they often develop theories. So theories explain various phenomena. So theories are general knowledge, general statements. Theory is a general statement. For example, if a statement tells us about all of the students or all of the animals or all of the humans or all of the countries or all of the cities, it is a theory. Whether the word theory is used or not, that is not relevant. That is not important. If anything explains that the all the entities, all the items involved, so it is a theoretical statement. So if someone says humans are good, So it is a statement. Humans are good. That it explains that all people are good. So it is a theoretical statement. If someone says no, people are basically bad. So it is a theoretical statement because it explains something about all of the humans. So it can further be evolved. Someone may say, no, people are basically good, but society makes them bad. Their socialization process makes them bad. Again, it is a statement about all of the people. So it is still a theoretical statement, it is a theory. So, theoretical knowledge is general knowledge. It is more important because it tells us about all of the entities involved, all of the people involved. So, if a scholar says that most of the young students they are very committed, it is a theoretical statement because it explains something about all of the students. If someone says most of the all of the young students, all of the young students, they are careless, they are not committed to their studies. Again, it is a theoretical statement because it explains the mindset of all of the students towards their studies. So, such statements are theoretical statements, they are theories. But if something explains about one item, one individual, it is not theoretical, it is particular. For example, if we say uh, student A is not good or student B is not good, it is a particular statement, it is not a theory. If we say a particular leader is good for the national interest, if, or if a particular political party is good for the national interest, or a particular party leader they, is not good for the nation, so it is not theory because it is about one party or one leader. So it is talking about only one entity, one individual. So it is a particular statement, it is not theory. So scholars, philosophers, researchers, they try to develop theories because they tell us about all the involves items involved, all the individuals involved. These theories include hypothetical mechanisms. So sometimes the theories are not very refined. So they are at the initial stage, they are called hypotheses. Hypotheses. So these theories include hypothetical mechanisms. They also include intangible elements. Sometimes they include tangible physical elements, but sometimes they include intangible elements. These mechanisms and elements cannot be seen. These mechanisms, which are intangible, which are not physical, they and the elements, they cannot be seen. We cannot touch them. We cannot see them. We only assume that they exist. We only assume, we think that they exist. For example, motivation of the students, self esteem of the children, we assume that they exist. We cannot see the motivation, we cannot see the self esteem. Even so, we often accept them as real. Although they are intangible, they cannot be seen, we often accept them as they are real things. Why? Because they seem to describe and explain the behaviors we observe. Because these intangible variables seem to describe the behavior, they seem to explain the behaviors we observe. For example, A bright child does poor work in school. A child is bright, intelligent, good in studies, but doing poor work in school. Someone may say this happens because the child has low motivation. The child has low motivation, someone may say. Another example, a kindergarten teacher may hesitate to criticize a lazy child. A child in school is lazy, and but the teacher does not say that you are lazy. Why? Because criticism might damage the student's self-esteem. It may hurt the student, it may hurt the child. So the teacher does not uh, tell the student that you are lazy. But this raises some questions. What exactly is motivation? What motivation is? How do we know that motivation is low? Do we read a motivation meter in the child? Do people have motivation meters in them? No, there are no motivation meters. So we cannot read the measurement of motivation on any meters. And what about self esteem? How do we recognize low self esteem? Self esteem means self respect. How do we recognize healthy self esteem, healthy self respect? This is difficult because we cannot see self esteem directly in the first place. So it is difficult to explain. Many research variables are like this. Many research variables are intangible, they cannot be seen. This is especially true for variables studied by behavioral scientists. So, behavioral scientists study many variables, many constructs which are intangible, which cannot be seen. These variables are often hypothetical entities. Hypothetical entities, they are hypotheses, they are raw theories. They are created from theory. They are also created from speculation. Speculation means guesswork. We guess, we speculate. These kinds of variables are called constructs. So these kind of variables which are intangible, which we cannot see, they are called constructs. They are also called hypothetical constructs. Constructs are hypothetical. They are also intangible. Even so, they play very important roles in behavioral theories. Constructs are intangible variables. They play very important role in behavioral theories. In many theories, constructs can be affected by external stimuli, external stimulus. Stimuli is plural of stimulus. In many theories, constructs can be affected by external stimuli. External stimuli can change. External stimuli can change or influence the constructs. Then these constructs can influence external behaviors. These constructs can influence external behaviors. So, in this diagram, the authors show that external stimulus influences the construct and construct influences the external behavior. For example, external factors like rewards or reorientations can affect motivation. If a student is rewarded, gets the top prize, the prize can be cash prize, it can be a trophy, it can be a certificate, it can be a shield. So the student who got the prize or the shield will feel more motivated, and the others may also feel more motivated when they see their class fellow has got a surprise, got some prize money. So these are external factors: rewards, prizes, scholarships. These are external factors. They External factors like rewards or reinforcements can affect motivation. So these constructs, these variables are affected by external factors, which are also called external stimuli. Motivation is a construct. When motivation changes, it can affect performance. If someone is more motivated, uh, his or her performance will be better. If someone is less motivated, their performance will not be good. Here is another example. An upcoming exam is an external factor. This exam can increase anxiety. So exams are approaching, your midterm exams are approaching. So exam anxiety, it is very famous. Most of the students, they feel anxiety before and during exams, and when the exams are over, they feel easy and comfortable. So exam can increase anxiety. Anxiety is also a construct like motivation and self-esteem. Anxiety is also a construct. Then anxiety can affect behavior. These behaviors may include worry, nervousness, increased heart rate. Heartbeat also increases sometimes when we are worried. Lack of concentration. Sometimes when we are worried, when we are anxious, we cannot concentrate properly. So these behaviors, anxious behaviors include being worried, being nervousness, increased heart rate, and lack of concentration. Researchers may not be able to see a construct directly. They may also not be able to measure it directly, but they can study the factors that theory says influence the construct. Sometimes constructs cannot be measured directly, but the factors which influence that construct, they can be studied, they can be measured, they can be observed. They can also study the behaviors that theory says come from the construct. Operational definitions are also important. When we are going to measure a variable, operational definitions are important. What is an operational definition? An operational definition is a procedure for measuring and defining a construct. So, this is a definition of an operational definition. An operational definition is a procedure for measuring and defining a construct. An operational definition specifies a measurement procedure, in other words, a set of operations for measuring an external observable behavior. An operational definition specifies a measurement procedure for measuring an external observable behavior. A construct cannot be directly observed. It also cannot be directly measured. However, researchers can observe external factors connected to the construct. External factors which are connected to the construct, they can be observed. They can also observe behaviors connected to the construct. These external events are observable, they can be observed. Researchers can measure these observable events. They use these measurements as an indirect way to measure the construct. Researchers use these measurements as an indirect way to measure the construct. Usually, researchers identify a behavior linked with a construct. So, because a construct cannot be directly seen, it cannot be directly observed, so the researchers observe the factors which influence those constructs. So, in this way, they indirectly observe that construct. Sometimes they identify a group of related behaviors. Then they measure that behavior. After that, they use the measurements. These measurements become a definition of the construct. They also become a way to measure the construct. The operational definitions also become a way to measure the construct. This method is called an operational definition. Researchers often say they are operationalizing a construct. For example, if you want to study how many people in Sargodha district are educated and how many people are not educated. So education itself is not visible. It is not tangible. We cannot see education. We cannot touch education. Okay, we cannot observe it. So, before trying to find out how many people are illiterate in Sargodha city or Sargodha district, we need to operationally define education. For example, you can say if someone who is primary pass is an educated person or an illiterate person, and anybody who is less than primary pass is not educated, or you can define it educated person who is middle pass or metric pass. Okay, so whatever you decide, it will affect your findings, your measures. so for, so in order to see how many people are literate and illiterate in a particular area, first we need to define literacy or education in measurable terms. So, what do we mean by literacy? Primary pass, middle pass, or metric pass? So, it will be a operational definition. This means they are using an operational definition to measure it. Example: education, educated persons. So, today we have discussed measuring variables, constructs, and operational definitions. And now I close this YouTube presentation and I join you on the Google Meet. Please wait.